Land conservation. Okay. Thank you so much for participating. No problem. We didn't know, we thought it was automatically here all the time. Sorry. Don't move too fast, I don't want you to. Yeah. Slideshow. Well, then we can start. Is everybody here? I was waiting for Kevin Lott. Kevin's here. Yeah, but where is he? That's, well. Well, then we won't wait for him anymore. All right, well, we are going to start the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting today, October 15th, 5 p.m. Is there any courtesy of the floor? No? Okay. Oh, there you are. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Lott. I gotta turn this off. Someone keeps. Now we'll hear the discussion regarding a donation of land in Williams Township by Ned and Linda Heindel.
One's up.
No signal. It's coming.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to start off by thanking the administration and county council over the past several years for funding the open space initiative with $1 million per year for open space preservation. Since that time, when we've been able to really get things in the pipeline, the word's been out that we've been able to preserve land. We're starting to see the highlights of our efforts really come to the forefront. Today, we're bringing roughly 170 acres of lands that are going to be preserved as county preserves. It'll be under our county park and rec system. And these lands are located in Williams Township and Lower Mount Bethel and Washington Township. They each have their unique land features, streams, the headwaters of several of our high-quality waterways, forested lands, some farm area, and you'll see throughout the presentation of these efforts that Sherry and I have been really able to bring to you tonight. So the first one has been on the table probably for the longest that I've really ever seen, but when I took over as superintendent, we were digging through files and we found a report called Proposed Hexenkoff Hill County Park dated November of 1980. So some land deals take a little bit longer than others. Today, we're actually bringing this proposed county park to you for approval. Ned and Linda Heindel, and they'll be here for full county council tonight, so you'll be able to speak with them. They own several parcels of property within Williams Township. They've been extremely active in the Open Space Advisory Board with Williams Township over many years. They've helped the county preserve lands, especially within this area and adjacent to. So they have offered an amazing donation of over 75 acres to the county as a county preserve that will in perpetuity have public lands open to everyone on Hexenkampf Ridge, which is a historic geological area. And as you can see through some of the pictures and things that we'll go through, it's an amazing spot. So as I mentioned, about 76 acres of land that the Heindells are donating to us. There's amazing history to this piece of property too. Ned Heindel is actually an author that has done research and has written a book, or I believe 2 volumes now, on this specific area and the ridge and the rocks itself, for the geological and historical and cultural aspects of it. Keep going here. So as you can see, this area of Hexenkampf Ridge and Stouts Valley has been a preservation priority over the years. All the green are preserved farmland, which is in Stouts Valley. Fry's Run runs through the center of much of this farmland, and it actually connects to our Fry's Run County Park just before dumping into the Delaware River. All the orange land is conservation easements that the county, several land conservancies, and Williams Township have been able to preserve over the past several years. And if we blew this out a little bit further, you'd even be able to see the connection to the Delaware River and some other preserved lands just out of view from this map. And as you can see in these pictures, the elevation of this is, we believe, is the highest in southeastern Northampton County, about 800 feet above sea level at the top of the peak. The top left picture is actually what we're preserving, that ridge line, that scenic view of the forested areas up there. And then you can see some of the pictures of some of the rock outcrops and things actually when you're on the property itself. So as I said, there's additional conservation easements, there's farmland that connect all of this. It adds to the high quality water of Fry's Run, that's a tributary to the Delaware River. And as I said, the historical and cultural aspects, it goes back to the Lenni Lenape that actually used this area when they were traveling up and down the Delaware for settlements. They actually have, Hexenkampf means, I believe it's witch's head. One of the rock outcrops actually has meaning to them of that. And so they had a very historical connection with this land on this specific property and along this ridge line here. So the goals, it'll be added to our county preserve, county parks and recreation lands. We don't see much happening besides the preservation of the land, a small walking, hiking trail. The Heindells have asked for some specific restrictions on the land, such as no hunting, which if they're donating 75 acres, I think we can very easily accommodate that. But everything else is pretty open for a passive park, a preserve that feeds into what we've been trying to do for many years in our county parks and rec system. So is there any really questions about the property?
No, I mean, I'm very familiar with this property. I guess my question more is about the ordinance that you're presenting before us. As you've seen on multiple occasions, it's HEXENKOPF. And then in the ordinance that you've presented us this evening, there's an M, KOMPF. And I'm not familiar with that spelling. I'm familiar with the OPF. I'm wondering if there's is there a mistake in the ordinance, or is there some difference?
It was a mistake in the ordinance. I thought we got the new ones to you guys before it got printed, but the M is not the correct spelling.
Let me check. Yeah, the ordinance that we have in our packet tonight has KOMPF.
Okay, we'll make sure that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Be a Scribner's error, I think.
Yeah.
Without the M, that's the only misspelling in that.
KOPF.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the German.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. I actually know Ned and Linda Heindel, and I've been on this property. I'm so amazed that it's going to be part of Northampton County's preservation because it's so rich in its cultural and historic value, not only for its scenic beauty, but this is just a great piece of property. I'm really excited about it. I hope we can get this up to council. So can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice of you. Thank you. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one, the discussion regarding the purchase of property in Lower Mount Bethel Township and Washington Township and the waiver of the requirements for 2 appraisals.
As I mentioned that some of these land deals take a little bit longer, this one's actually probably one of our fastest one. We found out about this in the spring of this year, and Sherry's been on the ball with getting in touch with the property owners and setting everything up to get to this point where we hope to have settlement by the end of the year. And with that, I'll let Sherry talk about this because she's been doing all the legwork on it, and also right after that, the Nahoda property. Since she took over the Livable Landscapes Grants administration portion of it, she'll discuss all of that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. The property that I'm presenting to you this evening for consideration of a fee simple acquisition is the St. Anthony of Padua Parish property. And this is located in Lower Mount Bethel Township and Washington Township. The majority of the property is in Lower Mount Bethel, with the smallest portion in Washington Township. Again, the overall goal is to establish this as one of our newest county nature preserves. And we would call it Little Martin's Preserve because the heart of this land is the Little Martin's Creek. Very pristine stream valley. We do have some upland slopes. We have steep woodland slopes, but we also have some marginal farmland that exists on this property. But the most scenic value of it is the stream, and it's a reproducing brown trout stream, Pennsylvania high water quality. In addition, there is a pond that an unnamed tributary to this stream does feed into this pond area. So it's got a lot of beautiful attributes to it. And we also want to preserve not only the natural resources, but the wildlife habitat. This is a significant area within the Martins Creek watershed, and there's marshy habitat in addition to the riparian buffer, things like that that we want to retain the quality of and enhance. Here you can see it consists of 5 major parcels. You can see the division of where Washington Township, it's one of the fields, basically, one of the smaller fields, but the remaining areas in Lower Mount Bethel Township. This is along Upper Little Creek Road and Mount Pleasant Road, which is part of the Pennsylvania byway system, and it was a designation within Lower Mount Bethel Township. The upper picture, you can see one of the major fields that abuts both of the roadways. And then the stream valley is off to the left-hand side. And then you could see in the bottom picture. So we do have, again, some elevation changes and steeper slopes that exist on this property as well. Our goals with the Little Martins Creek, or Little Martins Preserve, I should say, is protect the water quality. The water is gorgeous. And we do have reproducing brown trout that are within this area and farther upstream. So we want to preserve that for the wetlands. It also serves as the headwaters of the Little Martins Creek. What we mean by the headwaters is the aquifers. The canopy of the woodlands keeps the water cooler, in addition to supporting the wetland habitat, the aquifers, or the groundwater recharge areas. So that way the water does stay as clean and clear as possible. We want to increase the native riparian buffer because this is part of the Martins Creek Watershed Natural Heritage Inventory. It is a natural area, and we want to retain the forested woodlands. There's also some geological features on part of the upper area. We do have glacial till that exists, so we have a combination of different types of stone, like sandstone. But we also have some beautiful scenic vistas of the steep slopes, and of course, the stream valley. For this acquisition, it's fee simple acquisition, which would mean we are outright purchasing it from the church, from St. Anthony of Padua Parish. It is about 91.73 acres, so about 92 acres for these 5 parcels. The appraised fair market value that came back is at $460,000, and that equates to approximately $5,000 per acre. And this is consistent with what we're seeing with conservation values, especially with the zoning. It was zoned, the fields are zoned as low residential, so that's actually a pretty good value that we're getting. So our county purchase amount would be the $460,000. And we would utilize our funding source of OSI environmentally sensitive, which is part of the $1 million that Brian was talking about that we have allocated each year. And we're very thankful for that to the administration and to council. Very thankful. Our acquisition timeline, we are now at the point where we're asking for consideration to sign and move forward with the agreement of sale. We do have a signed letter of intent with them. The signed agreement of sale basically locks both parties in that we are formally committing to the acquisition of the property. The part of the timeline that's within that agreement of sale, there are some buildings that are on the property that are being demolished. They did have asbestos. They did the abatement of that all at their cost. That has been cleaned up. The demolition of the buildings will take place. In addition, cleanup of the site. They will regrade the entire area. I was just out with them again last week. In November and December, we will then, once all of that's done, we will issue a phase 1 environmental assessment, and then that report will come back to us. Because part of the agreement of sale contingency is that all of this has to take place and that we have the property free and clear of any type of environmental hazards, any type of liens on the property, which there aren't any, those types of things. We will also proceed with a title search and survey completed. This is part of our acquisition process, so that way we know. We say roughly 92 acres, and plus or minus on the GIS data, it shows 91.73, but ultimately the survey will help determine and solidify that. And we hope to close by the end of the year. And both parties are agreeable to that and very excited. Wow. The church is really happy because when they originally got this property, the intent was to have it as a nature preserve and ultimately have it as a camp down the road. So when I explained to them about our environmental education outreach, especially with the pond, I could see some really neat water quality testing that can be done with our partnership that we have with Wildlands Conservancy. They like to go out every summer and pick a park for a week that they go to, and our Northampton County youth can come for free to our programs and Wildlands programs. This I could see as a really neat area for them to do some of that pond testing and also water quality habitat of the stream. So that is our intent with this property. It's very exciting, but this will be another one of our new preserves.
That's great. Any questions? Sure, John.
If you could page back, it looked like there was a dam there.
Yes.
What is the status of that? Will we have to maintain it? What's the intent there?
The intent is to keep the water in the pond. It was man-made. We date it probably about the 1950s because the dam's in really good shape. It's a low-head, what we consider a low-head dam or a spillway, basically. Mm-hmm. So it'll retain the water into the pond because this is part of the unnamed tributary. And the picture to the left is the entrance coming into the pond of the unnamed tributary, and that's kind of the exit coming out of the pond.
Yeah, so the trend has been lately to remove dams. So that's why I was wondering what are...
This is a different type of dam. So the dams that are along the streams were more for the grist mill purposes and other type of milling purposes back in the Industrial Revolution era. this purpose was mainly for agricultural and also for the pond. The pond has since naturalized since the 1950s, as you could see. The native habitat, the wetland habitat, there's cattails that are in there. These are asters. A lot of good species. We don't know the depth of the pond, but this is a completely different purpose than our streams where we have the low-head dams and they're removing them.
Okay.
That's a completely different
Are mosquitoes
function.
an issue there?
I'm sorry?
Mosquitoes, are they an issue in that pond?
No, not that I'm aware of. It's all natural habitat. I mean, you have mosquitoes everywhere, but
Yeah.
I don't see it as being like an
Yeah,
excessive.
Right, I was
That's
wondering
a
if it
good
was,
point for you.
yeah, well, I don't like mosquitoes.
Well, there's wood ducks, that are out there. We've already talked about habitat of bat boxes and different things, because I'm sure that there's bats that are up there. I'm sure with the whole circle of life, we've got plenty of species of predators that'll go after those mosquitoes.
Okay. What about parking access? If somebody wants to utilize it for hiking, is that something you have plans for? Is that something we're going to look at?
That is something that we're going to look at down the road, because we do have an access point where the house is, that's a driveway. We do have a little tight site clearing distance coming out of there because there's a small bridge on the road. There is a nice field that's across from here in this picture where the pond is, and that allows us for the capability to kind of do a horseshoe of an in and out. But that's part of our study and analysis that we'll have to do with landscape architects or engineers that we'll have to do down the road.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Motion move forward.
great.
I have one question, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm not on committee.
that's okay.
No, I did, I just wanted to, I just was curious. We used a appraisal from Solderton, I think it is. Indian Valley Appraisal Company, Solderton, PA.
Yes.
Didn't we use wasn't there anybody in the county that could do this, or?
We have specific appraisal groups that we work with that have what's called comps, the comparables. And not all the appraisers that are in the area, they basically deal with real estate transactions. In this case, it's more of a specialized work where they deal with conservation values because of the steep slopes and the marginal farmland. We've got like shale soils. So when they do those evaluations, they look at the comps in the area. And then it's not comparing, it's more comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges.
So this group does more specialty in the area of what you do?
Yes.
All right.
And they also deal with farmland preservation as well, and our other conservancies that come into us for grant funding utilize this same organization, the Indian Valley Appraisal Group.
Okay. I'm always trying to keep it in the county
Yeah.
if possible, but I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
There's limits on, yep, but thank you.
Great. This looks like another beautiful piece of property, and I think you had recommended that it go. to
Yeah,
council, so
I recommend it move forward. Second. Second.
Right, this resolution. Right. So we're going to move that up to council. That's what you are saying, and you're seconding. Yeah, because that's what we have in our packet.
Move the resolution up.
Yes. Moving along. Discussion regarding the withdrawal by Williams Township of the grant application for Nahoda property conservation easement.
Yes. I received a formal letter from Williams Township requesting to withdraw this grant application. And this was a grant that we approved last year for the Nahoda property conservation easement. It was Resolution 64, 2019, which you approved last year. The reasoning why is because after further consideration between the township and the landowner, they weren't quite clear on what the grant guidelines were, and they are unable to fulfill them. So the landowner basically withdrew her application from Williams Township Open Space. So hence, they withdrew the application from us. And I'm requesting that we authorize the resolution to accept that and then unencumber the funding back into our OSI environmentally sensitive fund.
Oh, okay. So we get that money back, and then
Yep.
we could reallocate it to somebody else who can participate.
Correct.
That's important that we get that back. Okay. Any other
forward.
questions?
Nope.
Can we move that forward?
Sure.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Well,
Ta-
Mr. Giovanni already made the motion.
And I'll
I'll let
second
you
it.
second it.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? No, I'm excited. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Where's the first resolution? Wonder where it's at.
Close that out.
Linda? None of us have it.
Yeah, I would keep it
Just in case, yeah.
so you have it.
First resolution, we can
Did
get
you
a
want me
copy
to
of
shut that out, or?
it. The first one.